Imagine a society where we were fully aware that every single tree was more than 70% of our own respiratory system. Do you think we would dare cut down an entire forest for another Amazon factory? Imagine a society where we were fully aware that the circumstances we met in life are only there through invitation of our own thought. Would we dare feel powerless amongst our life, amongst the creation and the unfoldment of our life? Imagine a society where we were fully conscious of the fact that there was no such thing as you and me, because we experienced every being on earth as ourselves, the same way you experience the fingers on your hand. You think we would dare strap our boots on and carry our guns into battle? Imagine a society where there's no need for murder, thievery, lies, or any form of harm. This is a world that I wholeheartedly believe in, not just because I can see it happening, rather because I have literally seen it. It's like when I close my eyes, this reality becomes clear as day. Down to the subtle details, it becomes very clear. It's like I can walk in it, breathe in it, and speak in it as if my eyes were open. And if it comes with this much vibrancy into my awareness, doesn't that mean it must exist somewhere? I mean, many of you may disagree with the fact that this world that I'm dreaming of is not a reality, that it doesn't exist anywhere. It's just my own mind making it up. But I'm sure there is a strong chance that some of you agree with the fact that this world at least is a possibility. Even if you can't see this as a possibility, you have literally conceived this idea through the mere awareness of it, through me sharing it. Therefore, it's not as far out as you may imagine it to be. An inclusive species with a cosmic identity is not an impossible idea. This is entirely real. Whether or not we act like an inclusive species right now doesn't affect its validity. Because connectedness, oneness, unity, inclusiveness, or whatever you want to call it, is a fundamental basis of this experience. Absolute wholeness is truth. And the embodiment of that in mass can happen with enough awareness of the experience of this. You see, if this were to happen, we must really start with the education system. Because we're so quick to tell our children, you know, what's right and what's wrong, with the intention of making the child only see that. But how could these opinions of right and wrong be so true if there's so many different ideas of what right and wrong? You see, there's no steadiness in this concept of morality, morals. Therefore, there could be no foundation in them. They have nothing to stand on. And I bring this to your attention because we are so busy teaching our children with mental concepts, giving them mental concepts that we have no direct experience with. And this leads to so much separation, so much, because there is a need to protect us against them. There is a need to protect this idea against that idea. There is an intense desire to protect oneself, which leads to ugly things being done to one another. And not just that, but this is also ruining the very planet that we call home, because we believe ourselves to be separate from it. We try to force ourselves on it. So if we're going to give our children a chance to have grandchildren, then we must turn our attention inwards. Because if we were to learn how to remember what we were before we learned about the world, we would live in an entirely different world. Simply because we would be conscious of the fullness of the seemingly empty space that was once there. This is the return to the golden age. And it's not merely possible. Rather, it's more probable than anything at this point. Now, when I say learning how to remember, this is not a teaching. Because I'm not a teacher. This you can learn from somewhere else, any spiritual book or any whatever. I am just a passerby in this space and time. And I can't tell you which direction to head even if I wanted to. I'm just here to encourage you to take a journey into yourself. And for those of you who have taken this journey, you know that the times we are in is ripe for the transformation of consciousness. I mean, it's unfolding now. And there is no doubt in my mind that this is not obvious to you if you have taken this journey. So there's no need for me to dive into the signs that are showing up in your everyday experience. Let me just return to the fact of education and changing the way we approach what we teach our children. I mean, my friends, the children are not only the answer, they are the reflection of what you have always been and will always continue to be. Pure, vibrant, and alive with an exponential expression of energy. There is a genius within this state of consciousness, and we must not sit here and continue to limit it with this current education model. I mean, just imagine if we were to let this state flourish naturally and without influence of our own biases. What would we create if we had no idea of impossible or possible? And notice I said, what would we create, not what could we create? Because we absolutely would create an entire new reality without ideas of past creation. So this is not learning anybody's teaching. This new education model that I'm seeing is not just learning anybody's teaching. This is just turning your attention inward and learning about yourself. And I believe we may benefit a bit more from learning about ourselves rather than learning about the world. I mean, the rules of today's current world is literally the exact blueprint that is destroying this very planet that we roam. If you just paid a little bit of attention, as I have said before, to what's happening, you'll soon come to find that the people who are causing the most havoc on this planet are the most educated people. And this is not to say that education is bad, because such a statement would be so far from the truth. What I am saying is that our current education model, it had its place. But it no longer serves us today. Rather, it does the exact opposite. This current model is literally designed to build an army of individuals who conform to old ways of doing things, separation, like an unsustainable agriculture, prison system, political decisions, war, food and product consumption, medicine, and so many other things. I mean, if you look into each of these areas of operation, you'll see that the current route we're headed is one of pure destruction. I mean, 80% of people who take pharmaceuticals don't get any benefit from them. All of this begins with education. This is why I'm so adamant on changing the education system. Because NASA has even said that they don't see mankind surviving another 100 years, let alone 50, based off of the impact we're currently having on our environment. This is not a brand new idea, let alone my idea. This is just an obvious fact that comes through observation of what is. This is why the transformation of human consciousness through the power of proper education is essential at this time. If we do not start moving in this direction right now, there simply is no chance of mankind going on for another century. I believe in an education model. I believe that an education model that teaches us how to remember is more important than an education model that teaches us how to learn. There's so much that we do not realize simply because our attention is directed outwardly. We are taught to label everything as this and that as a definite statement, and we even brag about it when our kid knows a cup is a cup and a tree is a tree, but how do we know what that actually is? You see, this education system that I'm pointing towards, this is not an education. Put it this way. The current education model that we're operating out of in terms of labeling this, labeling that, dividing this, dividing that, this is not an education of intelligence. This is simply an education system of memory. A test is not a test of intelligence. A test is a test of how good can you remember the notes from yesterday's class. Intelligence is intelligence and memory is memory. There is clearly something intelligent at work, and you'd be a fool to believe that you are not of the same stuff as this pure intelligence. I mean, you are the whole damn thing. And the time for knowing that through experience rather than concept has actually come. My friends, a new approach is possible. And this approach can completely bring our society to one of pure intelligence, connection, compassion, empathy, and most importantly, consciousness. A society where lack has no substance, and therefore there is never an experience of being without, simply because you are now aware of everything that you are, which is everything you could ever want. I see children as young as 3 years old going to school, walking into a classroom where they are learning to remember the nature of their own emotions and how to effortlessly navigate through their emotional life. I see children remembering the power of this breath and how to utilize it to keep one's vital force, life energies exuberantly vibrant and expressive. I see children remembering the power of each and every thought in their head and just how much of an effect their mental activity has on the exterior world, empowering them to create their own reality. I see children remembering about the depths of their unconscious mind and how to speak properly to it in such a way that unlocks infinite creative potential. I see a world where children are remembering their power of the creation of all elements in the world and how each element can be healed through the power of our proper attention. I see a world where children become they're remembering the vastness of what they are rather than belittling themselves by trying to fit their entire identity into a body under such labels as names, religions, political views, status of wealth, and nationalities and cultural backgrounds. I see children remembering their connection with all that is. I see children remembering the power and value of turning their attention inward to the very source of creation. I see children remembering that they are indeed one with the one. A world where we understand that everything is an extension of self, therefore all is well, all of the time. For you are completely liberated from the little mind that you perceived to be you. And I don't see this happening in a small group of people either. Rather, I see this being the mainstream model of education across the entire globe. This is a moonshot. Truly, this is putting human realization into a modern-day textbook with the intention of placing that textbook in every classroom across the globe. This is making self-realization our curriculum focus rather than these things that would naturally arise. Let me say this again. This is making self-realization our curriculum focus rather than these things that would naturally arise through self-realization anyway. We must remember, we are intelligence. And that's intelligence with a capital I. Nothing, and I mean nothing, is outside of you. My friends, you are boundless. You cannot be contained within the walls of your silly little mind. This new curriculum is not focused on making people successful in the modern day perspective. This new curriculum is not designed for people to come in and make it to the top. There is no such thing as being below somebody, and there is no such thing as having accumulated outward things for something so simple as survival. I mean, we are built for survival. There is no need to continue to put our powerful fellow beings through a system that is designed with the core belief in the fact of needing to survive. In this scarcity-based consciousness, this new curriculum contains no top. This means there is no bottom, and there is no in-between. There is no ladder to climb. There is no trophy to seek or status to be gained. You are complete, just as you are. You always have been. Therefore, it is time for an education model that turns our attention inward to remember the vastness of our being and the latent intelligence that permeates all of you. You cannot sit there and tell me that this being is not intelligence in every meaning of the word. You see, there is a story of a scientist who says to God, "Lord, we don't need you anymore." Scientists figured out a way to create life out of nothing. In other words, we can do what you did in the beginning. So we don't need you anymore, God. "Oh, is that so? Tell me more," replies God. "Well," with a big old smirk on his face, the scientist says, "Well, we can take dirt, and with that dirt, we can form it into a human being and breathe life into it. Therefore, we don't need you anymore, God." God smiles and says, "Well, that's really interesting. Why don't you show me, son?" So the scientist is like, "All right, let me show you." And the scientist bends down to the earth and starts to grab the soil and starts to get a lot of dirt so we can begin to mold it and create the being. And then God says, "Oh, no. Get your own dirt. In other words, make it." You see, there is no way you can pick up a leaf from the ground and tell me that something intelligent isn't at work here. Something way more vast than your intellect. Try to create a leaf naturally. So clearly something intelligent is at work here. We are literally basking in intelligence. Yeah, we get it. The planet is intelligent. So why aren't we acting like it? Why are we acting like we are the most intelligent ones? Why are we following the ideas of other people as if they were the ultimate truth? This is not to belittle what it means to be human. This is to make a point that there is an intelligence that we are completely missing because we believe ourselves to be separate from everything, including the very planet that we come from. The same intelligent work that is within the leaf is the same exact intelligence that is throbbing within you. It's time we turned our direction inwardly, in mass, to experience this. Because my words can never contain the experience of all that is. And I have no idea how to do this. However, I'm not concerned with exactly how this will be done. I just know this will be done. And I believe that by simply sharing this vision with you, that maybe, just maybe, it'll find its way to somebody. Who can help me create such an education model that will produce a conscious world? The true return of the golden age.